Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Boy, I was daydreaming, and when that intro started, I jumped about 20 feet into the air. Wow. Yeah, here I am. Welcome to the program. It'd be May 16. It's election day here in Pittsburgh, and Susan's on the line, I think. Hello?
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, we got a big election here today, Susan. It's a primary, but primaries here is in so many urban areas are,
The election.
The election happens, and we have an opportunity to knock off a totally entrenched district attorney to get a progressive DA in, and also an opportunity to have the county executive, extremely important figure, probably more important even than the mayor of Pittsburgh, the county executive, to have a young woman progressive. It would be a huge upset if she pulls this off. So anyway,
well, if she does, I wish her good luck, because if you see what's happened to a bunch of particularly young woman progressive DAs, they just run into very, very, very hard times. The one in St. Louis is getting kicked out of office.
Well, I know, but that's because she's in Missouri, where the state essentially comes in and does what it wants. I mean, that's Missouri.
Well, now she's been, now she was in trouble in St. Louis. I mean,
Okay, so. But it's a hellhole. Anyway.
It's a hellhole. I'm just saying, it's not an easy thing to change.
Well, this is not DA. This would be the executive, county executive.
Okay.
So that'd be, I don't know. We'll hope. Very anxious. I think she's got a better shot than the guy running for DA, but you never know. You just never know till the votes are in. A friend told me she went in at 7:30 and her place was hopping. There were a lot of people there. So, and yet they're expecting a turnout of 30%. Can you imagine?
Well, maybe they're wrong.
Yeah, well, not by much. Let's say it'll be 40%. I mean, if it were 50%, it'd stop. I mean, it'd be, people would pass out. But just think about what that means. I mean, we're always thinking our democracy is in danger.
It means that 70% of the community does not participate in their democracy.
Amazing. It really is amazing.
It's hard to imagine being that disengaged in elections that matter. And basically every election matters.
Yeah. Every election matters, and the closer the election is to you, local elections, they have the greatest impact on you.
Yeah.
So
the lowly school board, for example, where
exactly.
If you don't pay attention, the wrong people are going to get in and start banning your books.
Yeah. By the way, I saw something on Twitter, and here again, I've now become so skittish about believing anything I see anywhere, which will only become worse with, artificial intelligence and the ability to alter pictures and video and all of that stuff. I don't know what any of us are supposed to believe anymore. But it's from the wife of Vindman. And I think I've followed her. I think she's a good source. Rachel Vindman.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lieutenant Vindman.
Yes, right. Who testified against Donald Trump.
Who was driven out of public service, yes.
Yes, right. Yesterday, a friend's daughter took the Florida American History exam. Instead of slaves, the exam said forced servants. And Japanese internment camps were referred to as, quote, relocation program. Now, I can see that being true, but again, I don't know. But that's the kind of thing when you talk about books that they're literally going to. I was going to say whitewash history, but it's sort of washing the black out of history. Blackwash.
Yeah, well, it's rewriting anything that the United States did that was not above board and a high road kind of thing, like imprisoning its citizens for no reason other than their original nationality.
Well, I don't know. God help us. All I got to say. What was I listening to the other day? It scared the holy shit out of me. It was about the danger of domestic terrorism, and it really is something. And it will continue apace, and it's frightening because it was being pointed out that the Republicans in office generally are just mute on it. They're not speaking out, pushing back against this extremism that is mostly, of course,
Tuberville or whatever his name is embracing it. White supremacists are simply MAGA Republicans.
Yeah, they're great Americans. It's really something. Did you see somebody's lodged a sexual abuse suit, much like E. Jean Carroll's against Trump? This one against Giuliani.
Yeah, except hers is far more wide-ranging. I mean, sexual assault is just up there with selling pardons for $2 million.
Right. She apparently has tapes.
She doesn't have tapes of that.
She doesn't have tapes of him. She's alleging that he was saying he was selling pardons, that he and Trump were selling pardons for $2 million a piece, and they'd split it. Is that what she's saying?
That was the plan. They were discussing it. She claims that Lev Parnas was in the room as a witness. I don't know what good that does her. Yeah, I mean, just that and a whole bunch of stuff. And yes, she claims she has tapes for a lot of the conversations, but not that particular one. They've walked that back.
Have you, speaking of Giuliani, he has disappeared, right? You don't see him, you don't hear, because he's going to end up in jail for sure. Not this, because that's not a jail term case, but he's going to end up in jail. I have a feeling.
No, I think so. I mean, I will bet you right now that he's going to be under indictment in Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already been informed to expect that he will be under indictment in Georgia. So,
what do you think happened to him? I mean, what do you think happened? I mean, he wasn't.
Have you ever heard of the imposter syndrome, Lynn?
Well, of course I know what imposter.
Well, in his case, I don't think it was a syndrome.
I disagree. He was a hard-hitting U.S. attorney. He was. He won cases. He went after. He was smart. His politics were always, but and then 9/11, he did step up as a leader. He was. I'm not saying he was an exemplary human, but I think he wasn't an imposter in his U.S. attorney role or in his mayoral role, at least initially. Something happened to him.
Well, I don't. Maybe he fell off the dark side. That's for sure. He absolutely has no moral basis to his life whatsoever on any level.
No,
and like in some crazed way. I have to agree, it is in like some crazed way.
Yeah, By the way, imposter syndrome, as you don't know, is when somebody reaches, well, it doesn't have to be a high level. It's just somebody who feels that they really don't belong.
They made it, and somebody's going to find out that they didn't belong there.
A lot of successful people suffer from this. They can't believe they're where they are, and they fear being found out. And often people who suffer from imposter syndrome are perfectly good at their jobs. It's just they can't come to terms with their own success, I think.
Right.
Isn't that right?
Right. That's why it's a syndrome. It's not reality.
Yeah.
It's the way you feel about it.
Okay. So
I was just
are you saying that
I'm saying in his case it wasn't a syndrome. He didn't belong there.
Oh, okay. Well, I think something happened to him. Something went, some screw turned. I don't know what. Bob is wanting us to talk about something I was going to avoid, but I'll do it. Martha Stewart on the swimsuit issue of Sports
Well,
Illustrated.
I actually went looking for pictures because the first one that I saw looked so damned airbrushed to me. Either that or she's had a skin transplant. I mean, there's just no way
an
80-year-old woman's body skin looks that way. On another picture, so I went searching for other pictures. On another picture, she looks not quite so airbrushed. Her body looks far more normal and very nice, but appropriate for an 80-year-old woman in very good shape.
Well, let me just say this.
She looks good.
Even the 20-year-olds who are airbrushed. Even
I know.
The ones with, so of course they're all airbrushed.
I know, but they gave her whole body Botox. I mean, it was.
Yeah, she has even said she has taken care of her skin religiously, blah, blah, blah. So anything that money can buy, I'm sure, has been done. But I don't know. Did you see anything other than the cover one that we're seeing?
I saw one of her lying in the sand in a one piece with a large hat shading her from the sun.
Okay, I'm a little confused by the cover shot. Do you have it in front of you?
I'll find it. Wait a minute. I'll get it there.
If for those of you who haven't seen it, she's wearing a white swimsuit. And she's with a orange, looks like satiny cover up. She's seated with her legs crossed. Do you have it?
Wait a minute. My finger, as usual, hit the wrong cover here. I've got it. Yes. So yeah, the thing where she's wearing the
problem. Yes, the orange thing with the white. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So she's not covered. So she's totally covered. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Here's what I don't get looking at it.
Do you think she's not wearing a bottom?
Well, I was going to say, where is her ass? Excuse me. Where is? It looks like her leg is coming out of her midriff at about her navel level. There's no. That is so bizarre looking to me. It looks distorted to me. Where's her?
Well, it's more about the cut of the bathing suit than it is. She's leaning over to that side. The butt is behind her, and but it was that shot where I was looking at those legs and that arm and that neck, and I was going, "No way, honey! You're 80 years old. Please."
Yeah, I know. Skin doesn't lie. And I also want to say excuse me, but her boobs look sort of like flat, which is, fine. I don't think her breasts look attractive. Is that just me?
Yeah, that didn't bother me. But look at her face. I mean, her face
is amazing.
Her face is amazing, but it also looks like an artificial intelligence version of her face.
Well, of course, because it is all, fiddled with, airbrush. Can you imagine how long they worked on her makeup?
I know. I'm just saying,
have that done. We look like babes too.
Well, no, I remember what our mother looked like at 80, and they could have dialed her up to look like that, no problemo, probably better.
Better. No, she would have looked better.
She would have looked better, and she wouldn't have required their airbrushing, and she would have looked real. I think shots like this just serve to make women feel bad about themselves. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the purpose. At what point do women have to stop being pretty and sex symbols? Even at 80? Is that the message? Even at 80, you can be beautiful and still attractive to men, and that should be your goal. And I'm saying, oh, fuck you. At what point do you start to being attractive to us? Because you know what? This is unattractive. Why don't you work a little harder about being attractive to us? You just pack your man boobs into a tight T-shirt and think that we think they're muscles. Yeah, your pecs, right. We know gynomastia when we see it. I'm just tired of this. Men are accepted no matter what because we see through to their shining character and their twinkly eyes. Women at 80 have to strive to make the cover of Sports Illustrated. So here's what I say to that.
About her? Well, so your anger though should also be directed at her.
Well, I don't know if I were asked to look good enough to do it, I wouldn't say get mad at me.
But
I'm just saying the message isn't.
She's helping perpetuate the message.
Well, she is.
Look,
she is.
I can still be a babe. And how many people who graduated from high school with her could say the same? Like 0.1% who have gazillions of dollars to have surgeries
and started out a model. Let's remind people she started out as a model.
Yeah, right. So anyway, it's okay, but good rant, Susan. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I can do a rant on anything.
Well,
I had to think what was rantable about it, but that is what's rantable about it.
Mm-hmm. It is. I remember it was a million years ago, like 35 years ago, I did a piece on the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue when I was a feature reporter at WTAE. And, I was filled with feminist rage, and it did not go over well.
Well, I'm just sitting here laughing because when we were FaceTiming each other a couple of days ago, I did my own version of underwear modeling for you, and it couldn't be farther from Sports Illustrated.
Oh, it's great. Susan got herself some boxer shorts.
I found this brand of boxers for women, cotton. They come in a longer leg and a shorter leg, and they are
and she looked good in them. Yeah, they look good.
They are so damn comfortable. They're called Woxers. So woman boxers, WOXER. And let me just tell you the best part about them. Walking the dog in underpants that don't bind around the top of your leg.
Or walking in general. Why does a dog have to be part
of it? That's where I noticed it, a feeling, oh my God, no wonder men like boxers.
All right, guys, Susan has just done a commercial for Woxer. Why don't you...
Well, I'm just saying, she does Sports Illustrated in a bathing suit, trying to look like a... My idea of what a babe looks like is different.
All right, guys. Hang on here. We'll get off underwear and boobs and where's her...
Well, it is funny. It just occurred to me.
Mm-hmm. So, did you happen to see Jeopardy yesterday?
I did not.
What?
When it's on here was when I was getting my hair cut off.
Oh, well, it was the return.
Oh, what happened?
The Return of the St. Norbert Professor.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out how they were going to get him back on. I've told you guys, this guy, who was a professor at the college outside of Green Bay, that we're very much affiliated with, he had been on and was winning. He'd had a 3-day winning streak, and then he got really sick, I guess. Maybe he got COVID. I don't know what. And it only happened once before in entire Jeopardy history, where the champ couldn't be there to what do you call
Continue on.
Defend the title. Right.
Right.
So they had said they were going to let him come back. And I thought, well, how can you have him come back? He was the champ. He can't be the champion. They'd have to knock off whoever was the champion after. So it turns out, no, they let him back, but he was just back. He was not a champion. They gave him a shot again. Right. And that was last night, was his first appearance since, winning those 3. And so I had never seen him before, and I had wanted to see him. Oh my God. Do you know how much he ended up with at the end of Double Jeopardy?
How much?
$60,000.
Oh, it's a happy ending.
No, I mean, what? You never see anyone on one game with
that's 2 or 3. Yeah.
No, so he won 60,000. He was, it was ridiculous. So now, tonight, he'll be back in the champion spot. And so he won 60,000 last night, and his 4-day total now is $129,000.
Well, I can guarantee you that sure beats his St. Norbert salary.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. And he told a really cute story about, I don't know, he found that he had some library book or something, and a letter fell out of it. And it was like a love letter from way back when. And he said it was just lovely. I think love letter from the 40s. And he looked at the names, and he's such it figures he would have done this. He went looking online for the person who might have written the letter and the receiver of the letter. He finds them. It turns out they live very close to Green Bay. He delivers the letter to them it turns out they're a couple, and they're living in an assisted living facility. And he brings the letter back to them. And they didn't even remember some of the stuff in the letter. They didn't remember the names they had called each other. It was this delightful story. And he said it was so wonderful to do that for them. And we ended up watching a Packer game together. So people really like this guy because he's just so nice. He's
Green Bay, guys.
And even though his name is Ben Chan.
Well, that's what Green Bay looks like now.
It sure didn't when we were there.
No, when we were the exotic people when we lived here.
Right,
but now, as I point out to everyone every time I can, Green Bay is becoming this sort of delightfully diverse and naturally integrated by class and race place because of the way the housing stock is. And because there's little houses next to big houses next to, and everybody gets to live with everybody else and gets to know everybody else naturally.
I think that might be a little bit of a
stretch.
Airbrush,
that's how it feels in my neighborhood.
Okay, but I think it's an airbrush view if you want to go down further.
Well, if I even talk to half the people that walk through Mother's front door.
Well, okay. Hey, we got a call, I've been told.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, it's me, of course.
Morning.
Clarence. Hi.
Hi. Going back to when you guys were talking about Martha Stewart before you put my life in jeopardy.
Wait a minute. How do we put your life in jeopardy?
Susan, explain that to your sister, please. Susan mentioned how, men don't have to be attractive to women. They do now. Have you paid attention to young guys?
Yeah, they're doing all the stuff girls had to.
Like Harry Styles?
Well, no, they worry about their hair, their skin.
I know. They're wearing makeup. They're doing nail polish. They're doing all the stupid things that women do. Okay.
I draw faces for a living, and I'm doing proms. High school kids. Boys with perfect eyebrows. They're getting their eyebrows done. But the fashion is outstanding for some of these guys. They have on sparkly, glittery shoes. And I posted this one kid on Facebook. I was like in awe of his outfit. It was just black. He had rhinestones on it, and it had like almost a paisley pattern point, in it. Right. I was like, man, that is sharp. He looked better than his date. I said to him, I said, please tell me you bought those glasses to go with the outfit. He goes, yes, I did. I said, that is so cool, man. He had these cool, there's rhinestones everywhere on him. He had he had on a black turtleneck with a rhinestone necklace, like choker. And he had his glasses had rhinestones.
No, I
going
saw
over
a picture. I saw your post, and he looked gorgeous.
That's a good-looking kid. I was like in awe, but he wasn't the only. I told him he won prom. I said, you didn't win this prom. I said, you won prom all over the planet, dude, with this outfit. But I see a lot of that. A kid sat down. I told him he looked like he came. I said, you kind of look like you're from the original Frank Sinatra era. He had that haircut from like the 50s with the, it's high on top, a little short on the, it's like you could tell he looked like an Italian guy, but his eyebrows were perfect. I didn't want to say, dude, did you get those waxed? But they were perfect. But you could tell they were waxed and brushed and combed. He got
manscaped for prom. Yes, he got manscaped.
Exactly. So and some of them guys are walking around, kids are walking around looking like superheroes. They go to the gym, and all that kind of good stuff. They're trying to stay in shape. And I've had this conversation with you guys before. That's because their wallet no longer matters. Women can make their own money. So you better look good. These young women can make their own money. They don't need you to support them. So you better be physically attractive to them, because
Oh, that is interesting. Well, that's an interesting point. So now we aren't
needy in the same way. We.
Yeah, so guys have to step it up. You're right.
Step up your game. Yeah. So.
Wow. That's why there's so many angry men around.
That's exactly true. That's exactly right. I mean, that's not you're not. There's studies done about that.
No,
that's why
I'm curious.
That's very true. All those white supremacist guys you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, they can't get laid.
Basically the same thing happened with the Taliban. You know what I mean? They basically can't get women, so they join terrorist groups.
That's right.
To feel like they have a purpose in life or something like that. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No, I'm absolutely right. Oh, for God's sake.
Well, I just, that's Clarence, you just boiled men down into a sentence. Sleep with me or I'll become a terrorist.
Yeah. I mean, there's actually a word. I can't remember. Tom Kovacs said it to me one time. There's a word for these guys, you know what I mean, who can't get women, so they become terrorists.
Incel. Yeah. Incel.
Yeah. Right. And they end up in cell after they, participate.
Yeah, after they become incels. We hope so.
They put them in cells. Yeah.
Great call, Clarence. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a nice day.
You too.
You too.
Thank you. Okay. Bye.
Bye. Oh.
Thank God you started laughing with the Jeopardy thing, because that went right over my head until you got it.
Well, because because he said the only way you could get Jeopardy in
is if we put his life in jeopardy. Right.
In jeopardy.
So I thought, did we make him laugh so hard that he almost crashed a car? I don't know what was going on.
That was why it got past me. But then when I said Jeopardy, there it was. Right.
Yeah. So, right. And then when you started laughing, there it was for me too. Right.
Okay. So we got it. We got a little late, but we
little slow on the uptake, Clarence. Sorry.
Okay. Hey, by the way, one of the questions or answers on Jeopardy last night revisited a former presidential election that made me insane and made the country start heading down the path we're on now. It was the election Bush v. Gore.
Right.
And the
first time that
was something like, it said, state of Florida, Bush got, I forget how many votes, let's say 2,150,785. Gore, the exact, 2 million, and the difference between Bush and Gore was something like 47 votes. I'm not kidding. Right. I don't know the exact number.
And that's when we started talking about hanging Chad.
But then the question was, or the answer was, another candidate got something like 12,000 something votes.
No.
Who was that? It was Ralph Nader.
It was Ralph Nader, right. And he was a real spoiler in that election. Yeah.
Stop and think about that. I have never, ever, I mean, I was probably ranting about Nader for months after that, and mostly ranting at everybody who voted for him, because there it was. That's what your third party principal vote. I will not vote for Bush or Gore. And look what we got.
Yeah, it always gets the worst person in.
We got an Iraq war. We got the horrors of we ended up with the Supreme Court we have now, the whole thing. You can tie it to people not understanding that Ralph Nader wasn't going to win, and it was a tight race. So you want to go with the winner. You want to help a good guy win, as opposed to a son of a bitch.
You cannot throw away your vote in that way, because it becomes a vote for the worst candidate. You have to vote positively in every election.
Well, it's not always a vote for the worst candidate, the third party. I would argue that Perot. No. I'm not saying that the third party candidate is the worst person. I'm saying that when you vote for the third party candidate, it is in effect a vote for the worst person. Unless it throws it to the right person, but that hasn't happened, has it? Well, that's right. No, no. When Perot ran, he took votes away from the Republican. I'm just blanking on who the Democrat was. I mean, yeah, it depends.
Would be Clinton, wouldn't it?
Listen, when it comes, look, I don't remember dates, and I can't remember what happened when. People say, well, I started working there in 1987, and I was left in 1991.
Would it be Carter?
Well,
I can't remember.
Do you even remember that?
I can't remember this stuff either. I have a hard time pulling up I'm just going back through Democratic presidents. So it's either Clinton or Carter or Johnson, and Johnson's too far back.
Well, it wasn't Johnson.
And so it's Clinton, or it wasn't Obama.
No.
That's too recent. So
somewhere in between. And maybe the Republican did win. I don't know. But I thought Perot was a spoiler that hurt the Republicans. I'm just not.
This is what it sounds like when two old broads that are too lazy to Google and don't have someone helping them sound like.
That is correct.
Where is my brilliant friend that used to slide the correct answer right underneath my nose when I was waxing poetic in meetings? Okay, I'm looking it up.
Okay, wait a minute. And I'm looking up something that I want. Here's what I want to do. Okay. I really brought that up because I wanted to talk about the real danger of a third party candidacy in 2024. A true danger. And the danger likely being toward Democrats and favoring Trump or the Republicans. Pardon me, I can't hear.
It was, wait a minute, I'm almost there. It was Bush. It was Dan Quayle, Bush.
It was H.W. Bush.
Yeah.
So he did win? No, that's when he got beat. That's when he got beat. Okay, we got callers. Susan. Let's get to the phone. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, ladies. Ray. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Ray from Lawrenceville.
Hey.
Okay.
Hi.
Hey.
Okay. Did you get me? All right. Hey, listen. I want to go back to something from last week, but to the point of the Nader, we don't have to go back to Ralph Nader. Trump got in because of those Green Party votes. And
you're absolutely right. I was going to say that.
Our side was so confident that we thought our protest votes wouldn't matter, that Hillary was going to win by a landslide. So we'd just communicate at voting time with our votes, our dissatisfaction. Meanwhile, we lost the election because of it.
Yeah.
So not just Nader. But listen, I want to, because it's in my industry wheelhouse, my objection to this gas stove versus electric stove debate. That's full of specious logic. First of all, the cause, the stated cause for wanting to switch to electric, I don't agree with any of the conclusions they draw. But nonetheless, going from gas to electric is punitive to lower income people. It's just a terrible idea to try to minimize gas and try to retrofit and ask the lower income people to switch from gas to electric. Repairs alone are ridiculously different between the two units. The cost of the unit to begin with, having to install 50 amp services or 50 amp runs and possibly change your service from 100 amp to 200 to accommodate it, thousands of dollars costs. So it's not simply a matter of pots and pans.
Well, excuse me, wait a minute. I thought they're not necessarily saying people need to go electric. They need to do this induction stuff. Is that electric? No.
It is. Yeah, sure.
Well, you have to plug it in at some point, right?
You plug it in, and which causes the magnets to activate, but you're actually cooking with magnetic something or other. I don't know.
Well, you're cooking with heat, no matter what you're doing. It's not.
You're right. You are cooking with heat, even though the stove isn't hot.
No, the stove isn't hot, but the pan is.
Yes.
And the pan, the metal in the pan, some of it, is mined by, terrible mining throughout the world. A gas stove's going to break because either the thermocouple or the igniter. One's $8 and the other's $12. An electric induction stove can break for a myriad of problems, including motherboards and SSRs that you might as well just throw the stove out.
Well, it's a good point you're making.
Yeah.
So a lot of this you're saying. So a lot of this environmental.
No, and let me be clear. I'm not coming out on banning anything, but I'm suggesting that the way that we all got to wanting gas stoves was because it was. I mean, as usual, it was sold as this was an upper class. Look at these gorgeous gas stoves that you can buy, and they just don't carry the same weight if they aren't gas. I mean, there was a definite marketing tool with that. And
who's behind this?
Well, okay, I'm just saying it's worth considering all your options and looking at all the pros and cons. And I admit that having options starts out as being a high class thing.
Well, now,
but Ray, this has to do with.
They're taking away the options by changing their zoning laws, right? You don't have an option.
Oh.
Well, they're saying new construction, but I mean, how many poor people are moving into new construction?
Well, isn't that our goal? They have mixed housing now, right? That's the whole point.
Well, if it's affordable, then it's affordable.
It's not. The repairs alone. The BTU cost, the British thermal unit cost between electricity and gas, electricity is 25% higher than gas per BTU.
Well, none of this. Yeah.
Well. Yeah. My guess is because we live in a free enterprise system that the chances of a real estate developer who is the person that is putting together the housing it'll probably be a mixed use development, and they will have to be able to figure this out. I mean, if they are either going to have to put home warranties in place or provide, or provide electricity as part of the rent. But these are economic issues that if you want the policy change and you're going to demand the policy change along with other policy changes, you have to figure out a way in the fine print to make them work together.
And I would counter that the influence of the unit manufacturers with their lobbyist money they'd be much happier if everything went to electric stoves, because the profit margin is gigantic compared to a gas stove that may last 40 years.
Well, it's an interesting point.
It's all interesting. I mean, it behooves us to educate ourselves about it. But at a certain point, if your argument is correct, I'm going to say that no, I'm not going to say that, because I'm looking right at a light bulb. And boy, would I like they can force us to do things we don't want to do.
Yes, they can. You can't buy the light bulbs that you prefer. You can't.
No. And you don't even know what the light bulbs you're buying are. I mean,
and there's this ancillary, this amazing, collection of technicians needed now to fix an induction stove with a convection fans, and the gas stove you could fix yourself with a YouTube video.
Yeah. Okay. It occurs to me that a lot of this stuff, and this is where Democrats often go totally awry, with looking at things from the, a higher end privileged position of what impact on the environment will this have? And so let us do this, when they disregard the impact on people who are living hand to mouth and don't have, and can't afford to make a change like you're suggesting. Often our policies sort of stick it to, they come out of
TVs. Remember TVs?
Cultural elites. And whatever. Well, thanks for that, Ray. I mean,
you are correct. We are led in places that are not necessarily as altruistic as we think, and when examined, have hidden costs.
And going back to the lecture days when I was in college, one of the things was appropriate technology, but applying a concept across the United States as if every state was the same. Gas here in Western Pennsylvania is all around us, right? Now, it may not be true in parts of California. Well, then you should have rules in California, but the same rules should not be applied.
Right. No, you are correct.
You do know that, this whole brouhaha was set off by Trumpka's kid, the former mine workers president's kid, who now has a position at the EPA. And in some rambling talk he was giving to people, he mentioned this and said, we might have to, do away with gas stoves. And all hell broke loose.
No, I beg to differ. I read the studies and the proposals, and the proposals were based, the argument was based on some corollary, not causal, as far as I'm concerned, asthma rates among children who have gas stoves in homes.
Yes. Okay.
And we, on our left, once we hear, we catastrophize everything. Oh my God, it must be the gas stoves. And they didn't take into account all the VOCs or the plastics around them or the over insulation that we went crazy for the past 30 years so that the homes don't breathe. They didn't even ask, did the parents smoke, right? It's the gas stoves.
All right.
So I don't buy it. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Stick with gas.
Right.
Yay, gas.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
I have gas all the time.
Good.
Okay. Bye. All right. God Almighty. Bye.
Okay.
Is there bye, Ray. Is there another caller? I understand we have another. Hello.
Good morning, Lynn and Susan. Ella from Penn Hills. I wanted to tell you that when I lived in Greentree, we had a gas stove, and I went to change the light bulb. Oh my Lord, I got a jolt I'll never forget. And this is like 30 years ago.
Whoa.
It was bad. Now on Channel 4, I was watching last night. I think it was Entertainment Tonight, and Martha Stewart was on, and she said what she did, it wasn't money motivated. And I think I disagreed. Well, that's what she said. And she said what she wants women to do is feel good about themselves at that age.
Yeah, but
because she sure does. Look at her. Okay.
Right. Another thing I wanted to mention, Jane Fonda is coming to Pittsburgh in October.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I read Jane Fonda's book, and in it she says we are attracted to people because of respect and learning. I'm paraphrasing, and that's what Susan was saying.
Right.
And I feel we're attracted, like everybody has a different pheromones, and if we could just understand how they work, that's how why we're attracted, and we want to learn from people. And finally, I'd like to say that I think we should start charging people that don't vote, like they do in Australia. It's like $10.
It's
a penalty. You got to pay a fine.
Yeah, everybody shows up. But I don't. I'm mixed about that, because if you don't care enough, what if a bunch of people then only go to the polls and they just, they're not. No. In our country, what if you live way out in the middle of nowhere and you live in a state where they've taken away your polling place and there's very little public transportation and you're poor and you have to get yourself 50 miles to the closest polling place, and if you don't go, we're going to fine you. I mean, it would be.
That's a good point.
If we made it easier to vote,
you have to change a few policies before you get to that, and so.
Well, I think it's the importance of voting. Maybe we can all meet somewhere and we'll buy you a hot dog and fries or something.
Have you voted yet?
No, but it's right in my building. So I got to get dressed. I'm going on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get dressed, and then I'm going to go downstairs and vote, and then I'm going to go enjoy this beautiful day.
Well, that's a good order. I'm glad you're getting dressed first.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So long.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. God, lady.
Okay. Do I get credit for not asking her what she was wearing?
Well, I'm sure she was dressed. She's just not.
She was in her robe. I'm sure. Okay.
Why am I hearing?
I don't know. It's weird. Oh, did she not hang up her phone?
Maybe she didn't hang up her phone. That's all. Okay. So, when last I was talking, I think we were talking about this, third the spoiler of a third-party candidate. And if you've been paying attention, you know that Joe Manchin is very seriously thinking about running as a third-party candidate for president 24.
Right, because he loves the role of being a spoiler. Clearly,
well, spoiler's his middle name, and spoiling Democrats' chances is his middle name. So he has said. I mean, he said on Meet the Press months ago, I think, that he would announce his presidential plans after the new year. So he's not even going to say if he's running till the new year. And he's also flirted with becoming a Republican.
No, flirted.
He's also facing he's facing serious competition. And I guess he must be up for re-election as senator in 2024, I believe. And, the fact that he's a Democrat coming out of the reddest state going practically is amazing and does speak to why he is
a Republican.
As centrist as he is.
That's not centrist.
No. Well, given our politics, I guess it is. I don't know. He stands in the center between the two parties, and he screws us constantly. Although the Republicans will say he also votes with the Democrats a lot and helps the Democrats. So he does a little giving and taking away, and mostly basks in the attention and the constant. Can you imagine the constant supplications and ass kissing that he must enjoy? But a very popular political figure in West Virginia, currently the governor, Jim Justice, who is a Republican, has announced he intends to run against Manchin for the Senate. I have little doubt he would knock him off. Now stop and think about it. Stop and think. That's a Republican now on the one pickup for a Republican, and a loss to the Democrats on a lot of votes. And I can see Manchin seeing that and thinking, why don't I don't know. I can't imagine he thinks he could get elected. All he could do is pull votes away from whatever, muddled middle of the.
There's no point to it. He knows he can't win, so the only point to it is to spoil things for the Democrats. It's about him. It's not about the country.
I want to also be clear that group called No Labels, which puts itself out there as a centrist group, has so many ties to Republicans. It's a joke. If you want to find a Democrat in their midst, you find somebody like, former senator, former vice presidential candidate Lieberman, Joe Vile Lieberman. And he is talking to No Labels. They're going to be on the ballot. They have the money, the funding to get their party on the ballot in 50 states. And if they do, they need a candidate. Well, who better than Joe Manchin? So I just gotta tell you that that's scary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
and what made me think about it is how the, St. Norbert professor, answering that question, he said, "Who is Ralph Nader?" And I thought, yes, that son of a bitch. Jeez.
It was that sweet professor that landed us here sounding miserable. Yeah, that's very scary. I mean, when I think what we're getting into, it's just scary.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know if it's a sign or anything, but I just saw the albino squirrel run past on the fence.
Well, I don't think it's what would that be a sign of? Whites on the run?
I don't know.
Well, they're running scared, some of them. Yeah, God knows. Yep. Hey, you know what I'm stunned by? They're taking AM radios out of cars. I mean, they are.
Well, okay, so let me ask you a question. When's the last time you listened to AM radio in your car?
I every once in a while will check for a
game, like a baseball or a football game.
Yeah, or but it's rare, right?
Right.
Truly rare, right? But so and I'm in the demographic that still does apparently tune to AM, and I'm thinking, what's on AM now? Except a lot of talk radio, because that's where I came out of AM. Talk radio, religious radio. Right, and talk is right wing. So
right.
It's religious, right wing, but there's niche stuff. So there's a lot of Spanish speaking stations, and in certain, probably in Chicago, it's probably an AM for who knows what, Polish. Here, I think, that kind of thing. So there will be losses to smaller entities that was their thing. But yeah, it's going.
Well, I think it's the same thing as everything else. I mean, people don't necessarily listen to that stuff through an AM radio. You can get it other places, and people aren't necessarily, the people driving cars are not necessarily the people that are listening to AM.
You know what I want? I want a car that you roll up the window with a little thing, you go round and round and you roll up the window. And it doesn't have like a dashboard, with all this crapola on it. I like cars the way they used to be, if you want to know the truth. All right.
Okay. I'm just going to say that sounds like Mother probably proclaiming that she still has all her teeth.
Why?
It just makes you sound old. It just makes you sound old.
Well, I am.
Why, I remember when cars were nothing but machines. Machines, I tell you. As a matter of fact, we called them machines. We said, look, there's a machine going down the street. That was Mr. Carter.
You know what? Okay, yes, I know. So here's what I remember, AM, FM. Here's what because most kids, we
listen to the top 40 on AM.
Yeah, anybody under 30 doesn't even know what an AM band is. I mean, what? Ooh, huh? What are you talking about? So here is my memory. I have a memory of a story. I was, again, a TV reporter, and I was sent down to Miami for what reason? I can't remember. It was some football game, some big game. I don't remember. And it was just at the point when satellite trucks, when local stations had satellite trucks, which is why I could be in Miami and still be on the news. And I had called Susan, our uncle, Uncle Louis,
right,
who was living there, and saying, Louis, I'm here at this hotel, and I got to be on TV, and then we could go to dinner. So he had come, and he watched me do my live shot, and then I took him into the big satellite truck, and I was showing him all this stuff. I said, so Louis, this is what's so amazing. So I'm standing here in Miami, and I am being seen in Pittsburgh on television because my image is up to the stratosphere, pinging off some satellites down to the. I'm telling him this whole thing, how amazing it is. It was so new, so astonishing. And he's taken it all in. And then I remember leaving, we left the satellite truck, and he stopped and he turned to me and he said, but what I don't get, is it AM or FM?
You know, what's funny is that we were both thinking about Uncle Louie today because I was reading this thing about ice cubes and how to get perfectly clear ice cubes.
Without those little bubbles in them.
Right, yeah. And I was thinking, well, boy, Uncle Louie would be thrilled to hear this, who would regularly send his drink back if it had aquariums and the ice cubes.
Oh, my God.
He's also the guy that told my husband if we were lost looking for our honeymoon hotel to simply turn around and come home.
He's also the person who I believe, I don't remember who it was, yours or my wedding. He made a toast and he said, I have heard that marriage is an institution. And how wonderful it is that you are entering the institution together.
I think that was
okay, Suze, we're done.
I know, but Uncle Louie gets us going. Okay, bye.
Bye, Suze. Okay, bye. Okay, everybody, you vote. I'm going to go vote right now. I am. I'm a nervous wreck. So tomorrow we'll talk about whatever transpires. Okay. Thank you.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.